Hi to everyone. Here is a package on this table. A cutter is ready, and now we are going to do this unboxing. I see here a big package to open that this package has done a long travel from the North Europe to the Italy. We are here, exactly here. Let's open this big package. A very good package, since to protect what has inside. Oh. This is the cable, Deutsch cable, but in Italy we use Deutsch cable also. And here is our ASEM PC. The ASEM PC, this was an Italian manufacturer, OEM. This factory was famous for the slim form of the computer built. ASEM is made in Italy, but this computer I have bought on eBay. I don't know if it works. Even I think of yes. Now we can see in this part the power connectors. I see a serial communication port, a parallel one, keyboard mouse connector are PS2, another COM here, and the last one is the VGA. Now we are talking about 286, like the PC 80 of the 80s, 90s years. And now we go to connect the minimum here. Under the spotlight we have the ASEM PC. Now we try to start, and then we open the cover for showing inside how it's made. The cable, it is not needed for now. 3, 2, 1, 0. Power on. Oh, fine. It works. It works fine. I let you show. I let you see what how does it starts. Yes. All right. Now it's clear. We see at BIOS. As we can see, this was an Italian computer, but the BIOS talks in English. Fatal error, system halted. F1. All right. And now we can go inside this BIOS to a very pretty, it's pretty this BIOS. Italians has a good taste, seems to do stylist, pretty well colors, I should say. And now we try to save it because we need only a floppy disk drive, and shows the memory. The memory on board is 4 megabytes. The video adapter is an EGA VGA. Off-board extended says okay. And there is no hard disk. It is a slim case, a diskless one. It's a 16 megahertz 286 microprocessor, and everything is showed here. Very pretty this BIOS. I like it. Sometimes Italian do it better, I should say. Yeah, pretty well. All right, and now we can see F2, F3, there is nothing. F4, we go in advanced system, and in this way we should move from one field to another. Yes, onboard memory says this: under 1 megabyte, 1.5, 2 megabyte. Yes, and now we should go to remapping that now is disabled, the addresses of the parallel port, the serial ports. I should configure it of not halt on keyboard error, because it's stupid. When appear keyboard not present, press F1 to go on. So this BIOS is pretty good for this cause also. No halt here, video error is required. And now we can save by pressing F5. And we can try to show how those, sorry, how those it starts. If I make so, yes, the focus is just a little. I must set better the focus. Now I make another booting, just to let you see better the focus of this monitor. Yes. Now we try to start with the IBM PC DOS. I put in the drive this diskette, and we are going to try this operating system. Yes, starts, and seems pretty well. Just to see how does it works, I can try the LIOS. LIOS is a sort of boot program. I do not call this operating system. This LIOS was a sort of mini kernel made by myself for support the file system on the floppy disk of 1 megabyte and 4,000 kilobytes. The high density floppy. And I have some file on these diskettes. Now we try to boot with this operating system. It's clear that I write everything in Italian language, and now we are welcome to LIOS operating system. It is just a standard. I try to focus again this all right, has gone well. Autofocus seems to work. Now I must change disk. I'm in the console of this operating system. I must write some command. I try mount. Mount says syshold. Now we have the label of the disk mounted, and I can do list. There is no file to list. Well, now we can try another diskette, another floppy with some program, because here we can see some old I will try another to list. Mount. Seems to be damaged, this floppy disk. I mount it again. Mount. Let's try disk used. DF, disk free. Seems to be damaged, this disk. Let's try again with the other. Mount DF. Yes, now we can see that there is no file on disk. This is the available cluster on the disk. And now we can see that we have more cluster than the fat operating system of the Microsoft. Let's go on to mount another floppy. This is the system 18 bis. Let's see what is on disk. df as Unix, disk free. And in this case, we have some bad cluster. Yes, because bad cluster are very many. There are many bad cluster. We have only 800 cluster free available for other uses. And we go on to change some floppy, hoping to find something on this. df without mounting everything, we can see that we have some data cluster in the file. We have 2 files on disk and we have 0 bad cluster, so this disk is perfect. We can mount just to show the label. This is the common disk. So on this disk we have some file written on this and we can list it. Yes. This is my old work of yes, and we can see some command on this disk. This is the disk name. F format is a fast format. A list, I can try to list using this list instead of the list of the kernel. It's a little bit as a binary directory of the system Unix. Is a very little operating system, and I want to just show some command. Now we can see yes, I'll take this empty disk for some experiment. df again, mount, there is nothing. Well, we try to format, and now we can start to format this new disk. Insert a name, and we call this disk try. Yes, in this way we can see the disk formatting from 0 to 100 in percentage. This is a file system made by myself some years ago, just to build a little operating system homemade, and for using some feature of the Intel architecture. Even after the first pass, the format will make verify. Now it verify the surface, and here we can see the good cluster and the bad clusters. Symbols will say where is the bad cluster, on what phase, phase A, phase B. Now we can see just like a scan disk of DOS, in which part of the disk we can find bad cluster. Here we can see a bad area near to the boot sector, and the rest of the disk is good for each use. This disk cannot be used on the there is some bug, I know, there is some little bug just because was a testing version. Now here must appear a banner, a complete banner. I don't see it very well. But we must focus on this aspect. If we have a bad cluster on the first area of the disk, we cannot write a fat table. Instead, in this system, we can write this table in another place where it find a free space. So this uses well the disk space respect to the Microsoft FAT. Now we have done this little experience, and I switch off and I try to open, so I can show you the inside of this computer. Yes, how is done this computer inside? Let's open this case. Now we must remove here is we have done. Now we can see the computer itself inside, under the cover. Under the cover, we can see this ASEM computer. Very well. In this area we can see this seems the video memory, the VRAM, and this is the system memory. There is an order, and everything is clear. The Italian designer has done a good work.